So yeah, this is Calcat, the Calcatster, and this is AdamaCon 2021. Continuing, we can do more of these blogs certainly later on, but this is the last part of the evening. Normally we do a creature features on the other channel, unofficial creature features on the other channel. We're not doing that here this time. This is basically, well, it's rendering the other panels. Let's do some other things from Friday. I'm getting around to Friday, toward the end of Saturday here. It's behind. Yeah, so, so did I have anything left over that I didn't do here? We can keep doing other AdamaCon stuff, 2021 or other things. Yeah, we kind of wanted to do a little recap stuff that was not included in the Mush recap, I guess. Maybe a little bit of other things, other confusions, because we seemed that be his theme. You know, we were looking up that I was looking up the journals of the First Press series, those journals, the emails and stuff in them. The On Location Academy, the spinoff that was concurrent with it after graduating San Jose State for an additional 2 years before Valley Story started. All these other different things that happen on location versions you don't need to know about, because I doubt that the journals would be released as the journals as they are, because yeah, a lot of it is a diary-like journal, and they're releasing that unless you changed it into Starship locations and changed a lot of the names around it, kind of combined it with the other one. Yeah, there's too many people that it might cause to go like, and I wasn't saying that so much about Pine Hill. Yeah, that they would be freaked out. Say more about the people at First Press. You get up to the First Press series, you'd be like, okay, some of these people are still there, and they've since married off to each other, or vice versa, or are divorced from each other, and they may not want to read about diary references of their ex, even though it was before they were together, writing to Calcat, or about stuff. Even if it was nothing, they might not want to read about that. Even if it was like, oh, it's about Bible study, whatever, they might freak out. They might not like that. No, definitely, there are a couple of X's in there that wouldn't want that printed. So unlike I'm not. So the funny thing is, I'm not afraid of the bullies or that weird teacher, Pine Hill. I'm not afraid of that. Ex-girlfriends, yes. Yeah, that has to be changed or left out. No. Ex-girlfriends are worse. Yeah, you don't want to mess with that stuff. Girls are worse. And I don't care what Jamie says, but don't Stacy. No. I'm not going to touch that one. We're not going to do that one. No, we're not covered now. In silly track. So just to clarify that. No, we're not putting that there. And everybody was playing each other along back and forth back then. So it's like, how would you know anybody was serious? There was even, and some of the Cillian stuff did end up in there. It's like when we did the Cillian version of mentioning some of the First Press people, we changed their names around so they were different. Anyway, and cut most of them out. So we'd have like 5 people on the ship that would show up that would sound a little like Scott Boyd, James Kurtz, and whatever. But they weren't necessarily them. They would step in and they'd be the captain or whatever. And then since during making that, James stopped coming to church and divorced and big mess. He left. So I said, oh, they can't use his name really. So we changed it years ago with Cameras. So yeah, I left. Yeah, so there were people that came in and went. We're still trying to find out what happened to Jim Buffkin. He disappeared before COVID, and his number was taken out, delisted, as was his mother. We can't find the guy, Jim SuWon. We want to interview him, find him. And Tim, who went underground immediately after foot surgery in April of 2019, we don't have any idea what happened to him either. I think when I went to his Facebook, Tim Cantrell, one of the Starcrackers, these are 2 Starcrackers people, James and Tim. And we went back to look for them. They even on the Facebook, and it was his birthday, commented on his Facebook blog. Because I figured, well, his Facebook's probably active, so I'll go to Tim's Facebook blog and say happy birthday or whatever. We got 5 or 6 other friends of his saying, oh, happy birthday, Tim, happy birthday, Tim. Only because I said it. Not because he was there, but because I said it. So it set off all their algorithms, and they went in there and they looked. They're like, oh, somebody cares about somebody on Facebook. Wow, amazing. They usually don't. Oh, I was going to go over here and check. And they don't, usually. And they thought he was there, but he wasn't there to answer that. He didn't answer it. So it's just sitting there. Maybe at some point, I think Annie might have answered it, his wife, and said, oh, yeah, thank you. But yeah, there was no connection other than that. Tried to get reconnected. Nothing. I don't know what's going on over there. So yeah, the other side of the journal diary thing is that if most of the main cast doesn't care, the police definitely don't care, and they're not coming. You know, no, they're not gonna care. But just as well, we'll keep the Cillian. So that was the just impetus on that one. They're not gonna care. They really aren't. But the ex-girlfriends, they will care. Now, we don't want to mess with that. So Mark's cards had said, well, what about ex-girlfriends? You don't want them to know anything. Yeah. Well, yeah, sure. Okay, yeah, so that's pretty funny. This is misconceptions. So, no other misconceptions if we want. Which would tie in a little bit to that COL kitty key thing that we did years ago anyway. We did. But yeah. It turns out, some of that stuff is a little strange. Like I remember during the Evergreen years, one of the journals brings up an instructor's assistant. We won't name her name. We'll call her Honey. There was a letter written to the editor that I wrote. I wrote a letter to the editor girl who was my age, or John's age actually, Larry Kelly, Aaron Micah, saying, being annoying. It didn't get her fired. She thought it did. I said, no, that letter did nothing. No, you got yourself canned. And nothing to do with that. I'm sure there were other ones that happened that did that. And then there's this other bizarre letter where we're essentially in the Jung SuWon era in 1999. Essentially chew out Master Fell, who's second in command, third in command. Chew him out for acting like a cult. That didn't go over too well. I was not in Jung SuWon for a couple months. That didn't go over too well. Because it was a cult, but they didn't want to admit to that back then. There were some things we did that probably shouldn't have, but there are some things we did we definitely should have. Like when we had Bullshito people. We should have done that because that was essentially exposing that universe and making it a popular thing, so we helped with that. But yeah, making that work in there, and they've been trying to find those names from Cillian type names ever since. Like, where is this kitty key? Who is this? Who is Jane Piedmont? Who's whatever? Well, Jane Piedmont is just Silly Kelly. So, it was just a stage. Yeah, it's his drag queen name. MC Kim happens to be my drag queen name, darling. So, but yes. So it's just me. Yeah. Oh, and another person on there we don't want to know is this guy Raymond. We don't want him to know. Yeah, so his name would have to be changed because he is. We don't want him coming around because he knows things are around. So I am going to stop this and render something else, and then we're gonna go on and talk about other stuff. All right. Oh, yeah. It wasn't just Yeah, the see, oh, sorry. Yeah, the let's see on with misconceptions. That's the theme of this alleged last night thing. This is Saturday. We'll download the Saturday stuff after the other one. The Sunday stuff. Yeah, unless we decide to do more, we can certainly do more during the week. If something comes up, we're doing location panels and the Starship locations and stuff like that, and talking about other things that are exaggerations and weirdness and whatnot. Now, when the Bullshito thing happened, let's go to the bullshit. Why not? The Bullshito thing happened. There were several stories connected to a other site called Cult Member, which was pulled down in 2007, but Bullshito kept going. And one of the main conceits they had about that whole thing is that Kitty Key could attest to. I might as well not bother saying Kitty Key could attest, so I'll just say Kitty Key could attest to it. And 35 ex-students that were mainly publishing could attest to it. That Adam G, let's call him Adam G, never published on that website or the other. I understand that he was not actually on there. They thought he was, and they called his group the Adamites. And that's one of the reasons Kitty Key went there, is he thought they were talking about him. So he went there, and then some of his relatives and some of his friends did. So we had like this other versions of Kitty Key going on. They figured that out pretty quickly. That wasn't what freaked him out, though. Freaked him out was all the cult stories. It didn't freak him out getting caught because he knew it was him. So he's like, yeah. And we had let's call them by their handles, Klarhor and Ryan Bald, and Chica Bonita, and Shadow Dancer, going on about all these different things. Ryan Beld and Chica Bonita are the children of Shadow Dancer, Xer, Black Belt Xer, let's say. Claire Hawar was a son of the infamous JDMS. That's her name on there. Another character. Yeah, Kitty Key was the related to. Let's call her Jane, and he was publishing on there. And also MC, let's call her, and also other characters. Someone named Jody, they couldn't figure out who it was. That was actually not related to him. That was related to Hello 123, and they were corresponding back and forth. Hello 123. He found out who that was. We have no records of that. They were destroyed. But on the website, you can see Hello 123, apparently who was roughly the same age as Kitty Key's nephew. So yeah, they were able to. They were young sobs, so back and forth. One of the nephews. But yeah, they I understand that this Hello 123 person did train at the academy, and that Kit Fillet and the Fillettes are just a name for their friends that were also there, and they mixed up the ages in Silly in Space and made them sound different. But yeah, she's roughly the same age as the character Jung SuWon on there, who was rumored to be the love child of an instructor and one of the other students. It's not true, at least I don't think so. That would be weird. But that's one of the rumors they made up to get them. Didn't work. Yeah, they also had other. Kitty Key also claimed he had a teenage daughter. That's interesting. I don't think so, but unless he was some other Kitty Key. Also, the one that got kicked off by his mom was clearly a different person than was the original one. His writing style was completely different and haphazard and stuff. Maybe a niece or nephew or something, but not mine. But yeah, we were all caught before the 2011 testing. master testing. We were all invited, of course, but it was a trick. So 2011 testing was a trick to see whether they were Xers posting, which is ridiculous because what they were posting and what the COL people were posting was made up half the time anyway. And also they were not they were often snipping back and forth at each other. They had an ex-husband and an ex-wife snipping at each other. They had people saying, "Oh, this one instructor lady's parents really didn't love her or something," and being all mean and stuff. It's like, you don't know that. Come on. I mean, it was really strange. And there was this one dude, one of the instructor guys. What do they call him on there? One of the instructor guys. He was complaining and insulting one of the employees at his own company while on the job on there. To which some of the other employees said, "Wait a minute. Stop doing that." Yes, don't post stuff on the internet you want somebody to look at, find later. It's not a good thing. So there's your COL story. It's real brief. There's really not much new. It was fun looking back on some of that old stuff and on the one of the infamous stories that started Cult Member was April of 1997. April of 1997. I'm not going to make any allegations because then get in trouble. But in April of 1997, it is rumored that the Grandmaster threw a hissy fit and decided to do some kind of horrible test on the male instructors. We thought that was entirely apocrypha, but apparently there's evidence. Absence of evidence is not evidence, but there's evidence, actual evidence, that event did indeed happen in the journals that I looked at. There are a couple of nights in April of 97 where some weird classes happened. Did not make any sense, culminating in this bizarre episode where this ex-student, Grandmaster came in and mentions this ex-student guy who apparently was accosted or assaulted or something. And the other instructors are going along with it, nodding yes and no and everything. This assaulted student. She didn't do it, of course. But the implication was that this was a cover story. And they feverishly went out asking in the journal, which will not appear in Cillian space, of course, do I know anything about that? This was way before. This is 10 years before bullshit. And they wanted the journal entries. They wanted to read them and see whether I knew anything about this guy and the other instructors and whether they knew anything about the special class. Because we were in energy class. We were in part-time COL. Despite what Klarhor thought, we totally were. I was in it. The others were in it. The inspiration for the Fillettes, that lady was in it. The inspiration for the Fillette's daughter, that lady was in it. The inspiration for the Fillette's future husband, the younger one's future husband, he was in it. They were all there. They're in the journal. They just have real names that we can't use. So yeah, they're right there. They're like they're right. Yeah, there they are. So when I read it, I can tell that's who that was supposed to be. It's hilarious. But this story, they were asking them too. And they were asking then Ryan Build, and then, what's her name? And then Chica Bonita, using their stage names, whether they knew as well what was going on. They didn't either. I'm sure they had a COL class about it because they were in COL. And it was weird because they were flummoxed because Grandmaster kind of fabricated that story about the student that had an incident as future Kitty Key discovered within 3 or 4 months and met the guy. And it's in the journal. And he's like, Grandmaster said this weird thing about you several months ago. And I told him, and he's like, that didn't happen to me. What was she talking about? So she made that up. She made something up? Oh. Yes. Yeah, that's very interesting. So yeah, but she didn't make up the hissy fit. She had the hissy fit. That was the cover story. It's in the journal. It's a cover story. The incident is not. The cover story is. The absence of evidence is not evidence, but excluded evidence is evidence. If they're trying to cover something up and find out about all the journals at the time, there was definitely something going down that we didn't know about at the time. It all made sense later on. It's like, oh, that couldn't happen. Oh. And you think that couldn't happen. Marx cards thought, back in the day. Okay, this weird thing that happened, if that actually was completely true, then wouldn't she have no more instructors when they immediately quit and just stopped coming to... Well, she had dirt on them, so, yeah. The grandmas. We're not naming her name, the grandmas. And she had dirt on them. She didn't have dirt on me, so she didn't have nothing on me. The only thing she had on me was, I wanted to pay for your date once in 1996. Yeah. To which she kept mentioning that when I visited back in 2007, 2008 when I came back to visit. She mentioned it a couple times in books, book deals and stuff. And I pointed out to her, you paid for the date, but it didn't happen. So you didn't pay for it. You wanted to, but it didn't happen. Yeah. And then the one she didn't approve of was the one that actually went out, which was the other girl. So there was this one girl at school named Alex. And then there was this other girl later on, a year later, named Anna. And when I was her, they didn't like that. Oh, no, we were grooming her to be in the program, COL program, and Popular People's Network thing, and pyramid scam, and all that other stuff. Yeah, I knew that's what it was then, too. Everybody knew. That's not slanderous. They knew. They knew what they were doing. But yes, she didn't want to do that, so she quit. Several months later, she reappeared in front of, in that same year, she reappeared and said that, they were mean to her, basically. Oh, that's not surprising. And that surprised then Mr., let's call him Mr. JJ. Surprised Mr. JJ. He was one of the extras on there. Surprised him. And he get a kid, incidentally. No. Anyway, so it was never really completely me. I mean, it was just silly. It couldn't be. That one person could not do that. No. He was one of them. Okay. JJ. KK. Yeah, so. Yeah, it's like, this is the same time. You can read the bullshit of what's in there. It's clear who that guy is. It's clear who this other guy is, too. It's really odd, yes. Yeah, there were a bunch of fun, goofy stories back then. There was a romancercise class where they ripped off jazzercise. Now there's a new version of that. So there's new news on that. Somebody created a romancercise, a current one. And apparently you can go and watch their tapes. It's nothing to do with the Jung SuWon one. It's a different one. But I'm sure it's better. The Jung SuWon was a failed attempt to rip off jazzercise with one of the chief instructors and his girlfriend. And I thought it would be really cool. Who was a student, which is just wrong somehow. Now, she was of age, granted, but instructors should not date a junior student. That's no. It's kind of some things the COL people were getting in trouble for. And that goes for romance class as well, because what was I, a red belt, and the partner was a black belt? No. So even me, even me, and although, granted, I saw her years later when she became a famous folk singer. She was at a coffee shop with her husband. She got married. She moved out of Jung SuWon, got married. Famous folk singer. Let's call her June. Okay, and joked about that romance class, and at one point, and her husband was like, "Oh, what was that? Oh," it was pathetic, and I told him what it was. I said, well, don't worry about it, because we had absolutely no chemistry. She's all, none. Nothing happened at all. She was like a boss or something. and then it's probably in the later journals. You'll say, well, you did have chemistry with that one girl. That's why Grandmaster stopped it. It's like, I know. Yeah, so yeah, there was this one night where she wasn't available, and they said, oh, you can hook up with Chica Bonita. I'm going to call her by her pen name there. You can do Chica Bonita this time and do exercising. It was an exercise class, but of course, to do this one, they had to no touching because it would have been awkward. So it was just like pretending, like stretching, basically. So in this case, awkward. So very awkward. But there was chemistry, and almost immediately, like they, oh no, stop those two. It was funny. She was slightly senior to me too at the time. But yeah, no, don't do that. Yeah, so they toned it down right away. Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, you can't and the thing is that we were too good. That's what it was. We were outclassing the stars, the instructor and his girlfriend. So they said, no, you're out. You're better at that. Don't do that. Nah, we were. Yeah. So I never dated this girl that was Chica Bonita. I never dated Chica Bonita. That would have been weird. No. But at that point, that night, she realized, hey, this guy obviously likes me. Like, oh, come on. But it was not going to go anywhere. So there's my story. There's the love story. It's been super wrong. Oh, the video was never released. To be a fly on the wall that I copied that video. If I'd been in time and place a little longer, I could have got a copy of that video. Like, kept it. Years later, looked it out and said, hey. Imported it on the DVD and said, guess what I have? Romancercise. Somebody else apparently did. What was also hilarious is Chica Bonita corroborates the story of Romancercise and wrote about it on her blogs. Said, yes, it's exactly as Kitty Key said. It was really bad. Except for that one night where we had chemistry. But it wasn't going to happen. Anyway, so let's render another video. Okay, I'm going to end this real quick, if I can. Yeah, this is not going to be long. Okay. This is the official end of the convention. So we have my hilarious story. To say I had to leave all the names after that one because giving that away. And church people like so we have it is interesting though that you can look back on the bullshit of years. It was years. It was 2005 to probably about 2015, about 10 years. And then there were sort of sporadic appearances after that. But it was mainly 2015. The height of it was 2008 and 2009 when when events happened relating to the settlement of a divorce case that happened. We can't say who those characters were doing that. And then there was another hiatus 2011, a slightly more interesting one in 2011 with that testing. Then there was a slightly different one in 2013, 2014 about something else that was unrelated. They just were there. So there is off and on. There are thousands of pages, probably 4,000 or 5,000 pages of ex-student testimony. Because if you figure that, by the time we left the academy officially in 2007. Back problems. That was the official story. The time I left, it was the official story. By the time that had happened, they had already known about it. It was already out there, and it was funny because they didn't really put it in the Valley Stories journal so much until a little later. Actually went and read it. It was there for a while, and they went and read it. But yeah, they were on Facebook and MySpace before that. MySpace and then Facebook before that. They were trying to find out what the extras knew before that. So yeah, Claire Hoare claiming that they really didn't discuss it in class because one of the people wasn't there to see it isn't the case. They totally did. They totally did afterward. In fact, there's one or two occasions in which the Calicaster did appear some events in 2007 and 2008 at the location on Technology Road that's no longer there. There were a couple occasions they appeared there. They asked about it, and they wanted to know where they weren't sure that that Kitty Q was involved. They just wanted to make sure that he wasn't. So they asked. He wasn't at that point posting. So yeah, and he didn't know what they were talking about, but he did know they were worried about it. They were looking for whoever was doing it. They were commenting on the MySpace as well quite a lot and trying to control that before the Calicat left. So they were trying to do damage control with something called Frog and Scorpion, of which the later damage control parody of that was Operation Komodo Dragon, which was a spoof of that, which no one got. Because, yeah, Jung SuWon kid thinks a funny thing. No one's going to get it. Adult at that point, but yes. But yes, it was funny. Yeah. It was also funny that they said, we don't talk about you Xers on several times. The COL would pop in and say, we don't talking about you out there. And every time they did, you're thinking, oh yeah, that means you are. Because that's why you said that. Because you totally are talking about it. You're talking about, at that point, that particular Xer, call her Smile, had posted several times that she was talking about them. So she was either misinformed or insane. Yes. Or both. No, she was just, I'm going to pretend like we weren't talking about you in class. Totally. We don't care about those Xers that are posting anymore. I happen to know that other lady was Everest Girl that posted on there. Ex-wife of Shadow. We won't say any other relation. Ex-wife of Shadow. I happen to know she was pissed. I know she was pissed because I remember it was one of those classes late on in 2006. She was talking about the Xers right there in class, and Grandmaster had to bring it up before I left. So she told the instructors and the black belts all about that. They're upset about the ex-students that were posting on the internet. That was literally a class, at least 2 classes about it before I even left. The back problem. So yeah, there was something going on. I didn't know what it was at the time. But something going on. I was told to go and find out, but I never did. At least not when I was there. Found out later. But yeah, they were talking about it. Also, the kind of silly story that was a strawberry field was hilarious. Just because she watched a Beatles album. Well, listened to a Beatles album, Strawberry Fields, and thought, it's like strawberry fields here on Orchard Parkway. No, not at all. And strawberries do grow. There are annual strawberries that will grow later than summer. They're a special kind. As Carson pointed out. But don't point anything out to the Grandmaster. She's going to be mad. Yeah, don't do that. But yeah. But yeah. Orchard Parkway, which was one of the schools, was in San Jose. They had several issues with the building, let's say. Let's not go into details. Needless to say, they had to leave rapidly in February of 2007. After being there only 3 years, they had to pack up and leave immediately. And my last class evening wasn't teaching anything in there, and there's the instructors tearing up stuff from the wall, and everybody being secretive and stuff. And I was like, oh, what's going on? Yeah, this is our last class in this building. We have to leave. Oh, really? Well, okay. We're gonna leave. We'll let you know. We won't bill you. And it's like, oh, well, I was having back problems and stuff. Just say that, yeah. Because I was. So I was like, well, that would be my reason for leaving for a while until we have a new building, I guess. So I left That's my story. And yeah, so I guess this can go to the other one. It's the same story. So 2007 in February, a week before Valentine's Day, roughly, I left. And I only came back a couple times to visit the newer facility that was in on Technology Drive instead of Orchard Parkway. But the Orchard story was that the Orchard story was that I knew what that field was on First and out there by that orchard. That was an apple orchard. Back when I was a kid, before there were buildings on it. It's an apple orchard. Built apples on it. Also, when I was young, they tore down a plum orchard on the Bascom Road. When I was very young, they tore down this plum orchard, and they rebuilt it as a mall. They called it the Prune Yard. Classic San Jose reference there. Prune Yard Mall. Yep. By the time I was old enough to know what was going on, the Prune Yard had a popular toy store and a popular candy store, Idlewild, and they had a toy store, and they had a lot of popular things there. It's still there to this day. It's been remodeled several times. But yeah, the Prune Yard, Prune Orchard. The Ford plant back then was closed, and the Ford plant became the Great Mall of Milpitas. Turned the Ford plant into a mall as well. So, in 1994, they opened it up as a mall. And there have been a lot of episodes in there. There was even a music video that we did in there. And one year during our Black Friday events, the cleaning lady complained that we're taking pictures of the storefronts, and she didn't like that because there's no cameras. And that was not true. What that said was, don't bring the film thing. Yeah, don't film inside the mall. If you're doing a commercial, you have to get permission to do a commercial. If you're like a company, you can't film storefronts. If you're a company, somebody that's a tourist that's in the mall shopping, and says, "Oh, that dress in the window looks cool," or "Oh, that building," in this case with a little castle, that looks cool. You can take a picture of that. You're just a tourist. You're like, "That's cool. I'm going to take a picture of that." Like, no, I wasn't taking a picture of Van's skate park. Anyway, the logo. What would I do that for? The irony being that at one point I did the Eminem video parody, that "Love the Sales You Buy," and filmed the storefronts to match the video, and nobody said anything. I was in there with a cell phone camera for an hour. Nobody cared. Well, we kind of did have permission. I asked the desk person. Kind of used my cell phone camera to film myself just randomly acting stupid in the mall. As long as you don't break anything. Okay, do it. Okay. But yeah, yeah, I didn't say anything about storefronts. Anyway, so that's the mall story. Many years later, after the CON stuff, in 2016, I think it was 2016, there was a city event where they were unveiling the Minuteman in Milpitas, and one of the instructors showed up. He was on there on the Bullshito. He was either JSU student or LS Med. I think it was JSU student. I think LS Med was the other guy. Okay, so he was the other dude, and he asked about it. I told him it was a back problem thing. That's why I left. Because it's true, that's the official, that's what it says. But yes, that's why I left. But yeah, it's funny. Looking back on it, it's funny. There were, like I was saying earlier, there were at least 4,000 people that went through that school. Just that one school in Milpitas from 85 to 2004. There's bound to be hundreds of extras, thousands of extras, because really, in its heyday in the 90s when they had their most popularity, it was about 180, 200 students. It never got bigger than that, ever. When they were at Technology Place, San Jose, they almost got up to 80 at the time when I was an instructor. So they got up to 80 and 100 at one point. They didn't stay, they left. They did manage to crowd in 100 at one point when they had a honorarily promoted Grandmaster, Great Grandmaster, 2006, and then they did have 100 other students from another school in there from that showed up. But yeah, that's what they did. So but they never had 200 again. So when they say like, oh, there's 3 or 4 different schools everywhere, there was one in Milpitas from 85 to 2004. I did 19 years. They had the San Jose one from 2004 to late 2004 to, it was finished in roughly 2005 because it was like October when they closed. So it was like August and then October, and then San Jose was 2007 to 2004 to 2007. So they weren't in San Jose real long. And they went to Fremont. And they were at Technology Place. When they were at Technology Place, they were there up till 2013. And then, according to the Jung SuWon, according to the Jane and the Kitty Key thing and the other one, according to them at least, they moved to Albray Avenue, which is off the freeway and near the Walmart in Fremont. One of the other Walmarts in Fremont up the road. So they were at that place for till about 2019, and then, well, actually, there's a little fuzzy there. It looks like 2017 or 18, somewhere in there. And then they moved to the Medford Albray one. So all the other ones they've been saying they were at, they never had as much as the 19 years in Milpitas, where they had the 5,000. They never had that many after that. The student body at Albray was 50, maybe 55 students. Not that many, and it was a bigger building. They didn't have that many. You can tell from the pictures they didn't have that many when they were on their last legs. They had started opening the Medford one. They were doing things back and forth. They had another one in Medford. They were going to do that one. I don't think they reopened there, because when you search for them, it's all permanently closed at Albray. And it says it's in Walmart for the past year. It was never in the Walmart. That doesn't make any sense. Why would they have a school in the Walmart? But it's permanently closed. So we have, a school that's a ghost school. We have a ghost school. It's a school that doesn't technically exist anymore. Of course, during the COVID thing, you can't have a martial arts school. It'd be kind of hard to do that. But if they reopen, it'll be Medford. It won't be San Jose and Fremont. It's where they have their other base. I guess Lighthouse is sort of still there, but it's unclear because I did go by there. And there's this other building, and it's the old cylinder plant, and then there's this one next to it, and there's like, okay, is this actually the Lighthouse sign sitting out front? And it's just sitting out front, and they just didn't take it down? I think that's what happened, because there's just nobody there, and it's not occupied. It didn't look like there was anybody in there. I didn't dare go in there. But the other one was like on the other side. There was this other building that was saying it had most of the building. So I'm thinking this other building is occupying it now. They just didn't change the sign. So yeah. As for the pavilion, I don't. Yeah, they were never in the pavilion. That was one of the rumors. Yeah. No, that was a demo. Yeah. And I don't know why they didn't just like. I guess they couldn't have come out and said, okay, the Xers are all lying about the cult, whatever, because it was. They weren't lying about that. I guess they couldn't, but they could have tried. So yeah, Their response was to put up all over their website. Now the kids can't go on the internet. Don't allow them to go on the internet when you're training here. It's like that's gonna work. Crazy. It's insane. So yeah, the school inspired the martial sportist. But at least I have a Ronin belt that doesn't fit. But this one does. This one fits. And this is my claim to fame, my, phony baloney claim to fame here. Cal Cat, Pet Cat Dog. Pet Cat Dog. Yeah, this is a joke belt. The real one's over there. That's black. The The real one over there. Yeah, I had the second degree. Yeah, the night that we all left, 2007, took the belt. 2007, took the belt. I took the belt off the rack, the second degree belt, put it in my my bag and my other stuff, and walked out. I got to wear it again though once in 2008, but I still kept it. I walked out again with it. So the other place, still mine. I don't know what happened to my, but I don't know what happened to my black belt gi. I think that I don't know what happened to that. It's that bag. It had this. It had the thing. I guess. Well, easy enough to get one. Also funny that like gis are not as expensive as she like they were back in the day. Making that embroidered belt, this toy belt right here, fakey one. It's the same kind. Everything. This didn't cost more than $70. The testing cost $500. Back in 2001. It's like the belt itself is like $50. The material is like $20, maybe. Come on, you charge that much for a belt? Go and get one. JCPenney, $5.95. No, don't do that. Don't pretend. We're not pretending to be anything after that. No, we're not. It's pretend. Yeah, that first one, 2001. I was not able to break the bottom out of the butter. But later on, I did it just screwing around in the back side yard. So, more than once. Dan had a wild party, and he had like a bunch of bottles of like booze out there. It's like, oh yeah. Afterward, I didn't drink any of it, but there was a lot of bottles out there, so it was like, oh, there he goes. Like, oh, me too. Yeah. Don't do that trick though. It's hard. Yeah, don't do that. Without a glove, don't do that. But yes, there was a belt. Yeah, so they're knocked out. Oh, well, it was crazy back then. There's some crazy stuff. But yeah, so I don't know what this is. I mean, they know who I am, right? but yeah, yeah. So that's the end of AdamaCon until I think of something else.